we're on the Country versus Metal podcast with Chase, who co-owner of the Troubadour Festival.
Co-owner. There are two of us. I am one co, and there's one other co.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we're specifically talking about the one in Salina, which is October 19th.
Yeah.
And so this festival is just a celebration of Texan culture, music, and barbecue. And are those some passions of yours?
Yeah, man. Texans, we kind of, people might call us arrogant. We would, I'd probably say more proud. But two things that we're pretty proud of is, our country music and our barbecue. And I started a similar event about 10 years ago and basically said, like, hey, these are two things that Texans love the most. Let's like smash it together and make an event out of it. And here I am 10 years later, still doing it. So it's fun though.
Yeah, that's cool. You've been doing it for a decade. That's awesome.
Yeah, I started a similar event in my hometown of Tyler, Texas, for a former company, and did it for 6 years. And much like a lot of other people in my field, COVID kind of threw a wrench into things and changed the course of my life and career. But now it gave an opportunity to do it on my own. So my best friend did almost 33 years, I guess. And I started it about 3.5 years ago, and we're still here. So it's more special now being a family-owned business and doing it on our own and seeing what it's become over the last 3 years or so. So this is our fourth one in Salina in October, and it's a blast, man. It's my favorite one.
Okay, cool. So I picked the best one to go to.
I've booked
your favorite.
I've booked a lot of lineups in my career, and this one, man, it's either at the top or it's pretty close to the top. I'm a huge fan of every single band on this bill, and of course the barbecue is always great. Having booked so many artists over the last decade, it's it's every one of them is special, but this one I think is going to be really, really freaking cool.
Yeah. I'm looking at Shane Smith and the Saints, Treaty Oak Revival, Jason Boland and the Stragglers, Tanner Ussery, the Wilder Blue, the Damn Quails, Logan Ryan Band, and the Broken Spokes. And that's a solid lineup.
Yeah, man. We and there's a special aspect to each of them. For Shane, it's probably I'd have to double check, but it's probably the biggest headline festival date for them in their career so far. As far as the size and things like that. And, it's really special to have them on it. They played for us in our College Station, Texas show last year, but not as a headliner. So having them as a headliner on this one means a lot. Treaty Oak everybody knows Treaty Oak Revival these days, man. Like, they're the hottest thing going. I kind of say them and the Red Clay Strays are both on that kind of rocket ship to the stratosphere. So having those two co-headline this one is, pretty cool. Boland, man, he's a legend. It's his 25th anniversary of touring. 2 days before our festival this year will be the 25th anniversary of his album Pearl Snaps, which is one of the probably on the Mount Rushmore of Red Dirt albums. Tanner Ussery's from Prosper, Texas, which is just south of Salina, so cool for him. And the Wilder Blue been opening for Luke Combs and playing big shows. And Zane Williams, who fronts that band, is from McKinney, Texas, about 20 minutes away from Salina. So it's a cool hometown show for a few of them, and just special all around. And the Damn Quails playing on our side stage is bonkers. Just those guys are also legends, so it's cool.
Yeah, they put on a great show. I got to see them at Mile Zero. They were a lot of fun. And
Mile Zero's on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check with that storm just ran through if Mile Zero around like Key West was affected.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I know a couple of the guys that are involved with that. Just great lineup. Having the Strays on top of that thing this year is going to be really cool.
Yeah, they're an incredible band, like as you're saying. Now with the tickets, there's different options for the tickets, correct?
Yeah, we started off with 4 options. We're down to 2. We actually sold out of our main VIP tickets last night, so it's pretty simple from here out. Either you want to sample all the barbecue and watch the show, or you just want to watch the shows. So we sell a ticket. We call it a barbecue music ticket. Real genius name there, but it includes like unlimited samples from all 43 restaurants, as much as your belly can handle. The show on both stages. It's one price, $125, includes all that, and then we just have like our music ticket. So it's good for our main stage act, which is the Wilder Blue and up to Shane, starting at 4 o'clock, and it's always $60. So that's all we have left, and hopefully we sell all of those too.
Yeah. Yeah, and if people have one, is there an option like if they get there and they're hungry, is there not, or is it you just
Yeah, if they want to come early, we can upgrade them for sure. If we don't sell out. So our barbecue music tickets come in at 1 o'clock. We have a gate time for them. They sample food for about 3 hours, and pretty much at 4 o'clock, all the barbecue's pretty much gone, and then the main stage starts at 4. So yeah, we don't mind upgrading people. The food's good. It's worth it. The best.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never been a barbecue guy because up here in the Northeast, they tend to focus more on the sauce, and I don't like sweet sauces.
Yeah.
And they like the brisket. They always shred it. They always put too much sauce. And the first time I went down to Texas, Steve was like, "You need to eat some Texas barbecue," and it was weird to see like brisket in its form, like a
The way it's
Snickers bar.
supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I eat steak because I like, I like the taste of meat. I don't
Yeah.
not one of those kind of people that just drench it in sauce.
Yeah, the cool
And
part is, man, as big as Texas barbecue has gotten, the influence has reached all corners of the world, including the Northeast. One of our restaurants is Hoodoo Brown Barbecue from Richfield, Connecticut, which is absolutely phenomenal. My wife's actually from New York, so they're about a 20-minute drive from where she's from. So every time we go, we stop by Hoodoo Brown. They become really good friends of ours. They're doing Texas barbecue right in the Northeast. They would stand among the greats in Texas. And there's more too. I'll send you some more to check out. So, but when it comes to being here, it doesn't compare really. It's like, you go to the West Coast or the Northeast for seafood, or New Orleans for Cajun food. You go to Texas for barbecue. It's the rite of passage.
yeah,
And it's cool for our restaurants because they kind of see this as an opportunity to get a little creative, rather than just do the typical, brisket rib sausage like we go to a restaurant, which we have plenty of those that do, but some of them, kind of branch out. We had one at our show earlier this year. They did uh, beef ribs with like creme fraiche and caviar on it. I've seen smoked bone marrow. I've seen peach cobbler sausage. I've seen, brisket fried rice. I've seen some funky takes on beef tongue, and like crazy French fries. Man, they really have fun with it. So it's really cool to experience, and it's pretty impossible to try them all, but it's best to give it your best shot when you get down here.
yeah. So expect to have the meat sweats.
Yeah, I'll walk around and I'll get through about 5 or 6 of them, and then I just like give up. It's a lot of food, and it's very heavy food, but it's damn good.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite of?
Man, people ask me that, and I have so many favorites, or I have so many favorites for certain things. It's I kind of look at my position that if somebody says, "Hey, where to go?" I'll give you 4 or 5 places to go, and I love them all. All of ours that we've had, since we started Troubadour in 2021. I think we've had somewhere around like 80 different barbecue restaurants from across Texas represented at one point or another. I could name several, but that would make me feel bad for leaving somebody else out.
Yeah.
It's that good. But yeah, like you say, hey, I'm going to Fort Worth, Texas. I could tell you 3 places to go that are going to blow your mind. So, or Austin or anywhere else. It's cool.
So people know that you put on a barbecue festival. Has any restaurants or anything ever asked to collaborate with you?
Yeah, and we always get opportunities, and we have a lot of restaurants that reach out and say, hey, man, I really want to get in on that. And it's so hard because with limited spaces and limited budgets, it's impossible to invite everybody. Salina, we have a little bit more room than our location in College Station, which is on campus at Texas A&M. We have room for about 8 more restaurants in Salina, which is cool. So that gives us a chance to bring more. And then we have, 3 out of state restaurants that are coming to this one. So that's a cool opportunity for them. But we're thinking about kind of delving into the world of maybe doing some like kind of maybe smaller stuff that we have like less restaurants at, and kind of showcase the food a little bit more, bring some music aspect into it too. Um, but anything can happen.
Has has there ever been a dish named after you? Or they,
Not me. There are a few around that have names, but um, that might actually kind of freak me out. So it's kind of weird. I don't really eat barbecue that much, about once a month or so. Um, where I'm in Tyler, it's a lot fewer great places like there are in the bigger cities. But we have several in East Texas that are great. Um, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. That'd be kind of weird. But I'd be honored, of course. But like seeing my name on it also kind of depends on what it is. Like
yeah,
that'd be weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to
Yeah, do I
eat
go in
something
and
named
do I
after
do I go in and order myself? I don't know.
I'm a
Yeah.
cannibal.
So the premier barbecue expert in Texas is a guy named Daniel Vaughn, who was a barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine, and he is seen as the foremost expert on barbecue in the world, essentially. And there's a restaurant in Fort Worth. I don't know if they still have it, but everybody always his like username on everything is like the barbecue snob. So one restaurant had a sandwich called the barbecue snob. So I don't know, like if Daniel actually ever went in there and ordered it. I don't know. I think he did, but like it'd be like, hey, can I order me on the menu? It's kind of say I'm gonna eat myself, but yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about the festival? Or?
Uh, Man, I don't know. Let me know about you. So what kind of like led you to like say, hey, I'm a hard rock metal fan. I'm gonna start kind of checking out some of these Texas country guys.
Yeah, the first time I'm pretty sure it was the first I heard was like Pecos and the Rooftops, and I was
Yeah,
like, this is like experimental country,
yeah.
and
You
what
heard
really,
you heard this damn song, I'm sure, huh?
yeah, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool because like the guitars have their own like character, and it's not like the snap clap tracks that you would get on the radio, which because that's when I thought country music, I thought like achy breaky heart, and I got friends in low places,
Yeah.
and like chicken fried song, and when you hear like all
You just
like
kind of think kitschy, not really anything with substance.
yes,
Yeah.
and like when you listen to like Tanner Ussery's Josephine, the first time I broke down, and I never really had a song do that.
Hmm.
It yeah, that yeah, and then, like I've Jason Boland and the Stragglers, and that sound that like just it's got a harder edge to it, but it's still you can retain something from the song, like a message from the song. And I love that, and like Treaty Oak is I still have everything I loved in the metal world, but the way they deliver it with those vocals, it's so much smoother because like it gets to sometimes where like I get tired of getting yelled at, like heavy metal's cool, but you're like, whoa, it's like, all
Yeah.
right, come on.
Yeah. 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 That's kind of how it was for me too. I run barbecue and country music festivals for a living, and once upon a time I hated country music. I'm a rock guy background. My stuff is the grunge era and a lot of classic rock. My favorite band in the world is Pearl Jam. So uh, when it started uh, started doing this, and kind of was a little bit more open minded into doing. Uh, my wife's about to walk in, so
That's cool.
we have to cut this part out. But she's not looking. So
It's all right.
she has a real job, so she just got home. But yeah, so it's when I first started kind of being open to listening to it and stuff, I had an older brother who tried to get me to Texas country red dirt for years, and I always said no, I don't like it. I don't like country music. I like my rock and roll guy. And then when I got my last job before I started the original festival that I created, uh, I kind of was more open to it. We had a Texas country show. Guy named Buddy Logan, Radio Texas Live, is a big Texas country personality in America, and he would kind of push some bands on me, and one of my my first love in this scene was Uncle Lucius out of Austin. They're
Oh,
one of my
dude.
favorite bands, and um, they played Keep the Wolves Away in studio with us before it was ever released to the masses, and
Oh,
um,
wow.
we like Buddy and I, we were in the studio, and I was filming it on my phone, and he got, Kevin and them got done playing that song. Buddy and I both just looked at each other and we're just like, holy shit, like that was incredible. And I had loved them for years, and they were a big inspiration as to why I started doing what I was doing. But I started getting like into the bands that were more that rock sound, less of the twangy kind of hillbilly country, which I like. I like some of that too. But when it started getting into Uncle Lucius and William Clark Green and Whiskey Myers and Bolin, I love Bolin, and a lot of other ones. And lately, the past several years, where it's been Co Wetzel and Kobe Cooper and Treaty Oak, of course. That's kind of where my love kind of gravitates to. Shane Smith, one of my favorites. And when I got introduced to the Turnpike Troubadours, it was kind of all over from there. That just like this is one of my favorite bands of all time. So kind of a similar story, I guess, is my point. That went from rock and roll, not really liking country, and then once you kind of listen to it, pay attention, and you see more of that raw sound and the raw emotion that comes with this scene, as opposed to 95% of the shit that comes out of Nashville. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot more honest and just way better. And I apologize to my brother once upon a time for being like, "Hey, dude, sorry, I kind of kind of crapped on your music taste there for a while, but you
Yeah.
were right."
Yeah. Uncle Lucius, Keep the Wolves Away. I always say that. That's my new Simple Man.
Yeah.
That's an incredible song. They actually played local to me, and I was walking to the show, and I was like, I'm wearing the shirt. I don't care. And the guy stopped me and
You
said, "Hey,
broke the
man,
rule, huh?
yeah." He goes, "That's a nice shirt." And I said, "Thanks, man." And they were like, "Oh, you like Uncle Lucius?" I was like, "Oh, they're incredible." And I was like looking, and I was like, "You guys are the band, aren't you?" Because if your face isn't on the album, I don't know what you look like.
Yeah.
And he smiled. He goes, "Yeah, man." And I was like, "Really?" Blah, blah, blah. I got to hang out with them and talk to them, and they were cool guys. And I was floored because that song, that's like that song, and like any like William Clark Green,
Mhm.
and to get people to that like the countryside, because like people from like the metal side, it's really easy to jump into like Colby Cooper and Austin Mead
Mhm.
and Cody West and all those guys. It's that's more like I love that term, the alternative,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
yeah,
Y'all turned it. That's a
and
good one.
grunt tree and punk tree. Like uh, listening to people describe Treaty Oak, always all the combinations of words, and then like Tanner Usry. He's in his live show is way different than what you hear on the record. I was
Oh
blown
yeah.
away of how
Yeah, he
rocking
puts
they
on a
are.
great show. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's special, man. We've been trying to get him on one for a while because he's from the area, and we finally got to make it work this year. And uh, yeah, dude, I got to see him. A buddy of mine puts on an event called Peacemaker Festival in Fort Smith, Arkansas every year. Great event. And watched Tanner's whole set last year. 95 degrees outside, and the dude's just crushing it. It was really cool. It's gonna be special for him. Um, but yeah, Uncle Lucius, I guess that would be 10 years ago. Next year's the second festival I ever did. I got completely like railroaded by a boss. Like I booked Uncle Lucius to play a show and paid them a certain amount. She called like, "I can't believe you paid this band this much money. They're not worth that much." And blah blah blah. I said, "You don't really know Uncle Lucius in East Texas." Like, because Kevin, the lead singer, lived in East Texas for a while. Actually, moved to East Texas after the incident with his dad. And I said, you just gotta know Uncle Lucius. And when they played, they loved it. Josh Abbott headlined that year. Josh Abbott stood side stage and watched their entire set, just completely floored at how good they were. And when they reunited, late, I guess early last year, I saw their last show at Green Hall before they broke up, and saw the first one back, and had a chance to get them on our show in College Station last year. And man, it was really special because they're one of those that I kind of compare them to like a Mike and the Moon Pies or Silverado now. It's one of those bands where you're just like, I just don't get why you guys aren't 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger than you are now, because
Yeah.
they're just special.
Yeah. I've seen them a couple times, and they're awesome. It, Omar, their bass player, is one of the best bass players I've ever seen, and man, he's a show on himself. And Mike and the guys, man, they're just, and they don't sound like anybody else.
No.
And they just, and like you said, like that was like the whole thing of the TikTok channels, that like, I'm like, there's people out there like me that need to hear this, because it's great music. Like, because I kind of like got like, and like put myself in a box with just all the songs I downloaded. You get in the car, playlist, download it, songs, shuffle, and I never really added anything, because every time I went and listened to something, everything sounded the same,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just all like they have like a formula, boom 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 boom, turn the cogs and put the song out, and let's get our money. And,
Yeah. They really
and
took Willie Nelson's Three Chords and the Truth a little too seriously in
yeah,
Nashville sometimes. I have a buddy who's a songwriter in Nashville, and he's a great songwriter. And I know sometimes it's probably frustrating, but they put out what they think sells. And there's some good stuff out there. But it's better now than it was 10 years ago, 8-10 years ago, when it was kind of the peak pop bro country movement. As as this scene has grown, as the popularity of a lot of these artists has grown, and festival lineups have changed, and I mean, you just had Bourbon and Beyond, one of the biggest festivals in the world, had country and Americana and Southern rock all up and down the damn lineup, and people were blown away by it. Whiskey Myers being really high up on the lineup there, and they're from East Texas, and one of the first bands I really started liking too. And they're nowhere really like near country, even they're Southern rock, but kind of came up through the same scene. And you see hard rock bands, love Whiskey Myers, so it's a unique genre for sure. And that's kind of the vibe that we keep and try to show off at the festival.
yeah, yeah. Whiskey Myers is one I heard, and I said, I was like, how is it possible I have never heard these guys?
Yeah.
Because they're just, I don't know if it's Blackberry Smoke, who's another one. They said
Great
two country for rock, two rock for country
band.
was
Yep.
one of their things, and I was like,
And Blackberry Smoke is like some of their biggest influences for Whiskey Myers. They'll take Leonard Skinner, ZZ Top, Blackberry Smoke. When I finally saw Blackberry Smoke in person, I was like, oh my God, you guys are crazy.
yeah,
It's kind of the first time I saw the Red Clay Strays was the same way. Just absolutely blow you away.
yeah. I got to see Red Clay down at Mile Zero. I have tickets for this Thursday for him, but my dog's getting surgery, so I can't go. I was like,
Hey,
man, I was
hope
like,
he's okay.
yeah, it'll be fine. But yeah, the
It
Red
was
Clay
actually
Strays.
I have to give credit to my now how old is he? 68-year-old father. About 3.5 years ago, sent me a YouTube link of the Stray singing "Good Godly Woman." He said, "You need to watch this." And I watched it, and I just text message back, just like full of expletives. Just like, oh my God, these guys are incredible. And I actually connected with their management uh, sometime later to try to book them last year, and um, just couldn't make it work. And the comparison and like their booking then and now is night and day, to say the least. But I guess it was the end of our 2023 show in College Station. Like a week later, they were the first band I booked for our show back in May this year. They played second out of 5 bands. Had no business playing that early because over the course of that year, they just absolutely blew up. And I said, at least I could say I booked them when and paid them that very small amount when compared to now. But when they showed up and Travis Tritt headlined for us, and I introduced Travis the other night, and it was so hot I had to change shirts like half a dozen times, I think. But I had like an old school red clay stray shirt on when I introduced him, walked past the band when I went to go on stage, and they're like, "Whoa, that's an old shirt." And I said, "I told you guys, man, I'm like one of the OGs." Thanks to my dad. But yeah, it's crazy to see what they've done. So cool.
So they were like one of the bands that have blown up big that you've done.
Yeah, we've had some over the years. Red Clay Strays are probably one of the main ones. Cody Johnson headlined my old festival from my former company for me in 2017. That's probably the other lineup that kind of compares to this one. We had Cody Johnson, Wade Bowen, Cody Cannon, and The Departed, and the opening 2 bands were Flatland Cavalry and Shane Smith and the Saints. So
that's a great one as well.
Yeah, I mean, Flatland played first, Shane played second, and it was, you look back on it now, and for what we typically book for, it's not possible, but it was pretty cool. 2016, we had Turnpike. They headlined for us, and it's probably my biggest career blunder ever. But I turned down a guy named Chris Stapleton for direct support that year to play before the Turnpike Troubadours for a very affordable amount, but the amount that they wanted was kind of taking away the rest of my music budget with 3 other acts to book, so I couldn't talk them down, and I said, well, I gotta pass. I can't do it. And this was right around the time Chris was opening for Turnpike at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth for a 4th of July show. So I tried. It didn't work. Nobody knew who Chris Stapleton was. About a month later, I saw him in Dallas on a Thursday for $5. About 850 people there, and about 3 weeks after that, he won 3 CMA awards and had that whole killer song with Justin Timberlake, and then the whole world blew up on Chris Stapleton. But just as bad as that, to play second that year, I turned down a guy named Tyler Childers to play that because it just didn't fit the budget. So looking back, where it could have been Turnpike, Chris Stapleton, and Tyler Childers on one set in Tyler, Texas, is pretty humbling. But we've had a couple of wins. The Strays are there. We had Co Wetzel on a show in 2018. He played third, but it's a fun game to play, to look back and see where they are now and how big a lot of them have gotten, and look back and think about like, oh crap, I could have booked Chris Stapleton to play before Turnpike, and Stapleton sells 50,000 tickets wherever he goes now.
Yeah.
My production manager, the morning of that festival that year, he played Chris Stapleton on the PA for the entire morning while we were finishing setting up, just to screw with me.
Just to rub it in.
Just rub it in. Yeah, it was just great though.
Now, is there any like bands that consider like your festival the one that made them become popular and really start taking off?
I highly doubt it. At least I wouldn't think so. We have a limited number of acts. We're a 1-day event, so we typically do 5 acts on the main stage. So we're limited on how many artists that we can put out there. But we definitely have had some that have looked at us as a good, stepping up point into playing bigger shows and bigger festivals and stuff like that. We're kind of where we are, like size wise. So we're typically a 6,000 to 7,500 capacity, 6,000 to 7,500 capacity event. So, to kind of get where we fit budget wise, my goal is to try to find somebody who's like doing this, to find the Treaty Oaks or the Red Clay Strays or whatever, when they're kind of in that good ballpark area of what we can afford.
Yeah, you're. I can't hear. Can you hear me?
Wait, hold on. Sorry, somebody was calling my phone, and that's probably what did it. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I could start over. No, we just try
yeah,
to find somebody who's a band or an artist that's kind of doing this, that we're catching them on the way up, before they kind of get out of our realm, budget wise, because when they're playing for something our capacity, it's we have to stay within a certain price range to make it make sense. And um, so that's where we've hit good with Trudio. We've hit good with the Red Clay Strays and some others. And there's some legacy acts that still sell really well. I mean, you have your Randy Rogers of the world, your Shane Smiths of the world that do really good. Um, but we always try to look ahead and see who the next big things are as far as what fits for us. Um, Exhibit A for what I would say now, the goal one day is Zach Top. Like that dude is just absolutely blowing up right now, and he's so good. So
yeah.
like he's
I,
definitely what we've been paying attention to.
yeah, yeah. It's funny is somebody sent me an email and said, "Hey, they said, I heard you said you're from the Northeast. Where are you from?" I told him where I was from. He goes, "You're right over the bridge from me. Really love you to come down, meet my artist. We're doing a private party, like get some content, get her name out there." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, sure." Totally forgot about it. I end up going to see the Steel Woods, and I'm walking by this
Nothing
guy,
wrong
and
with that.
yeah, and I said, "Man, that guy looks really familiar." I said, "I probably know him from TikTok." And I walk up, and this guy goes, "Hey, man, over here." And he was behind a merch booth, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he goes, "Hey, I sent you that email about coming doing the private show, get some content with my artists, and try to get them out in the world." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just I get so overwhelmed. I need like a secretary." And I said, "Who was it?" He goes, "Oh, his name's Zach Top." I go into the Steel Woods show, and there he is opening it up, and he has since blown up. And I was just
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh man, I made such a mistake." But it was funny how like we were both looking at each other. He was probably maybe he was just like looking at me because I was like, I know that guy. And
yeah.
here before he was like really doing anything on a big stage, he was doing covers of like Kentucky Bluebird, Keith Whitley, and I was
Yeah,
just duetting his videos, and that's how I recognized him. And his manager was like, "Yeah, dude, like I, he's
he is
going
something else.
he's going places." And I was like, "Well, tell him I said hi." Tell him I said
Yeah,
hi.
he's absolutely blowing up, man. He's a great guitar player. I tell everybody he's the next Cody Johnson, and he's going to win Entertainer of the Year in the next 5-6 years for sure.
Yeah.
We had a group of friends. We went on a trip to Broken Bow, Oklahoma last year to just chill and camp out for a weekend and have a good time. And there's not much out there other than just like Airbnbs and a lake and whatever else. And there's a small, not really small, but I mean it's a decent size restaurant bar that does Texas country shows. Nothing super huge. And everywhere I go, I always look to see if there's live music somewhere. And I was like, yeah, this guy named Zach Top's playing at this saloon down here. Y'all want to go? We're like, let's think about it. We ended up not going. And like 2 months later, I really got the chance to really dive into it. Stuff like, man, we should have saw this guy. Like, gonna regret that, but hopefully he'll be playing a Troubadour soon. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, he puts on a great live performance. I was and like you said, he was a really good guitar player. And I had been eyeing he plays a Brent Mason uh signature Telecaster, which I was just looking for a push to buy one. They're like really expensive, and that's what he walked out with. And I was like, "Oh
It
my
was a
god."
sign.
I was like, "This chair is going to cost me so much money." And it just his tone and everything. I was just like, "Man, this dude's the
Yeah.
real deal." And yeah, so I left and fulfilled my cart at Sweetwater. Just was like, and I'm poor.
Yeah. Right. I heard that. That's awesome. Yeah. He's special, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Sweet.
I like all the people that were missing that sound, or they're getting new music with that, and it's cool for me because I didn't grow up listening to it, so I don't have like that nostalgic, you know,
Yeah.
like it is weird when people talk, and I can tell like they're talking about people like they remember car rides with their parents, they remember fishing with their dad, listening to these, you know, legends like Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, and Waylon Jennings, and they have like great memories attached to all these songs and artists, and I don't have any of that, so it's nice to hear it now and like get to have that kind of, because I think that does help. Like all the
Oh
people
yeah.
like now with Cross Canadian Ragweed with this show, like the people that grew
Yeah.
up in that era, they're like going nuts. They're back in their 20s, and it's awesome to see.
Oh yeah, man. My phone today has just been just stupid, blowing up. You know, I had heard about it a couple of weeks ago, you know, just through connections or whatever, and uh, I kind of told a couple of friends like, "Hey, it's happening." Like, I can't really say anything, but it's gonna happen. And the first show is, you know, going to be in Oklahoma, and we're gonna go. And you know, as of today, every hotel and Airbnb is sold in
Yeah,
Stillwater, Oklahoma. Like it's wild. I had a chance. Cody Canada played our first show in Salina, and I got a chance to talk to him and he had played for us before, but like, I just talked to him for 10, 15 minutes, and you know, his kids' middle names are you know, Veteran Cobain. So we were talking about Pearl Jam, and we both had tickets to a Pearl Jam show in Oklahoma City that had been postponed from COVID. So we are talking about that show, and you know, Pearl Jam in general, things like that, and just, you know, he's always just been such a amazing, genuine guy who genuinely cares about every single person he comes in contact with, and it's uh it's pretty cool. Like, and like, speaking of Pearl Jam, I went to see Pearl Jam in Austin last year, and they played 2 nights. And the first night I wore a Shane Smith and the Saints shirt, and I couldn't tell you how many people in that arena stopped me and were like, "Dude, I love your shirt." Like, you know, just going back to how it crosses into that genre now, because people respect the approach that these guys are doing to their music, much like people fell in love with Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and, you know, everybody back in the late '80s, early '90s. So it's kind of the same sort of similar movement, you
yeah,
know, with like the Texas Southern rock, red dirt kind of stuff. I mean, seeing what Co did, what Treaty Oak's doing, you know, beyond, you know, it's pretty cool.
yeah. The first time I saw Shane Smith and the Saints, I I was waiting for more people to get on the stage because they have such a huge sound, and they I was absolutely amazed there wasn't like any backing tracks, and just like all that like big synth sounds is from the guitar with, you know, all the reverb and everything, and they were great. I just walked over to Sunshine. I was like,
Yeah.
listen, I know you're not supposed to do this as a guitar player, but I took a picture of your board and I love your sound. He was like, let's go talk about it. And we're on a music webpage, and he's like building me a cart to replicate his pedal board. And they were all really cool. It was the night they
Nice.
were going to be on Yellowstone. So
Oh, okay, rad. Yeah.
they were super excited. And yeah, they're
And
great.
they've got one of the best living fiddle players in the world. I'm convinced of it. So Bennett Brown
Oh
is fantastic. Yeah, when they opened that festival in 2017, that was the first time I'd ever seen them. We'd had a band cancel, so I had to fill their spot and filled it with Shane. And Shane's he's born and raised not terribly far from where I live, and I was like, you know, give an East Texas boy, you know, a spot. And they opened their show, you know, doing the music from Last of the Mohicans. And I remember like walking focused on something else, and I heard them start, and I was like, I turned, it's like, what the hell is that? Like, it was, I mean, just one of the best live bands, period. You know,
yeah,
so, yeah,
absolutely. The amount of energy and man, I wish I could explain like to someone that's never seen them, like
yeah,
because some people like at one time I played a song for somebody. It was all I see is you, and they went, man, this is too much going on. I said, I was like, I got like angry. I was like,
yeah,
how dare you?
yeah. And
This
their
is
their new
gold.
album is Yeah, their new album's friggin' fantastic.
Yeah,
First song on the record, Book of Joe, is, I mean, probably my favorite song on the record outside of Fire in the Ocean, but it's, uh, man, heavy. They just play heavy music,
yeah,
it's, which I like. It's like heavy on the heart
yeah.
and actually heavy too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I call them like my country Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. I'm going to use that. I'll send you royalties, but I'll use it. What
Yeah,
state are you in again? You in
I'm in Delaware.
Delaware? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
y'all used to have what was that festival that was in Delaware? There was a country
Uh,
festival.
oh,
It
was there?
canceled.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, it didn't make it terrible long. They had big artists. I'm kind of venturing off here, but now that I think of Delaware, uh,
Yeah, I can't. I can't.
Big Barrel Country Festival.
Big
That's been
Barrel.
many years. Yeah, eight
Yeah,
years ago. I can't believe it's been that long.
there's
Yeah,
a
because they did it in the same spot where they did Firefly.
Firefly. I was like, what was that
Yeah.
one? Firefly. Yeah, I never went to that. I,
Yeah.
like we call Southern Delaware like slower, lower.
I take it you're in Upper Delaware. Huh?
But yeah, they have some festival like uh, in Wildwood where my parents live. It's like a beach, like a little island
Mm.
town in New Jersey. They have some big ones, but it's all names that I didn't want to go see. And of course, this year I was I was there, and God, it was Gavin Adcock was there,
Oh yeah.
and it was funny. Like what really got me into listening to country was my buddy owns an entertainment company, and he called me up and he said, "Listen, I need you to play a show. It's in a day. You can do this." And I was like, "Well, who's it for?" He goes, "Well, it's I don't know if you know Brian Martin." And he was like, "It's for Brian Martin, blah blah blah." And he's reading off all of his stats, like 6 million Spotify followers. I'm like, I don't want to hear all this, like. And he gave me the set list, and I remember him being like, if there was no like who sung it, like I was like, what's a troubadour? Troubadour, and then I called up. I said, dude, there's no names on this. I said, who sings? He stopped loving her today, and he said, what? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, George Jones. I was like, dude, I've never heard that name. And the next one, he was like, dude, that's George Strait. And I'm like, I don't know any of these band names. And he was like, dude, don't tell him that. And he was like, I didn't know that you didn't listen to anything. And I remember Brian was using the drummer in my band, and he was like, listen, you need to listen to country music. I sat down, listened to it. I started talking about it. And he was like, you should record that. And that's what started with me just being like, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, when you hear like, it's amazing. Like I still get amazed when you hear something like Treaty and like on the genre, it's a country. And that blows my mind. And a lot of people were like, they're like, no, this is not country. I'm like, well, it's like, I said, Texas country's different.
It's like Blink 182 meets Southern Rock meets Hillbilly West Texas.
Yeah, it's like Sam from Treaty yesterday. I was talking to him. He said something along the lines like, "We're a rock and country. We're a rock band with a country accent," something like that. And I was like, "Man, it's a great description." But it's
I love the alternative reference. That's solid.
Yeah. Like I like Giovanni and the Hired Guns. Like the that sound. Like I haven't heard something like that since I what did I say? I said these guys sound like Blink 182 if they were raised by Roughnecks.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, and there for a while, I mean, co-covered Blake in his set. I don't know if he still keeps it on his set list, but he used to. But a lot of those, I say kids, they're not kids anymore. They're like 5, 6 years younger than me, but that hit like peak high school for them. In that
Yeah.
in that kind of same era. So of course it's going to influence them. So it's, that's why you get a little bit more of the funky, rock Green Day sound or Blink-182 sound, or, that whole alternative era, so,
Yeah,
but
that
it's turned to some good music. Yeah. Treaty was one, like they opened our show in College Station last year. They opened it, and, that was one of those, like, kind of got them right before they started getting really super big. College kids and kids on TikTok and stuff kind of knew about them first, so they had a huge crowd early in the day, um, and they've absolutely just exploded since then. It's cool to see.
yeah, they're gonna bring some energy. Them and
Yeah,
Treaty
we're
Oak
gonna
and Shane.
between Shane and Treaty Oak. I hope our stage doesn't just completely set on fire. So,
Yeah.
and I was actually trying to bring pyro in for the show, but just couldn't find it. But probably for the best. If we're gonna be honest.
Just,
There'll
as
be
soon
there'll
as
be enough flying beers during Treaty Oak's set to satisfy the spectacle needs. So,
yeah, we actually talked about that because I was at. I don't know if you saw footage from the DC show.
oh yeah,
It,
they were throwing beers and then co
yeah,
followed. Yeah,
yeah, I was
yeah.
there. I was like up front by the rail, and I was with someone that like they couldn't climb the steps, and I just had a feeling. I was like, we don't want to get trapped into this crowd. I said, let's just pull back a little bit, and thank God it did because it. And like I was
If
talking
you
to
didn't have a
Sammy,
shower yet, you were gonna have one.
yeah, the thing was those cups were like recyclable. They were durable, and people were like throwing their spit cups, and it was hitting people, and it was just
Oh
like,
yeah, it's
and like he brought it up because I was going to be like, because I made a video that went kind of viral, but I never said Treaty Oak's name. Like he said I didn't encourage it. He's like, by the time it was going on, because they weren't doing anything, and he said after that, like he didn't do any of the beer
yeah,
soaking. He said he's just laid off because he he was scared he was going to get thrown off the tour with coke because he actually ran out and was trying to clean the stage up himself, and they were like, "What are you doing? Get off!" He was so nervous because it
yeah.
was it was a mess. But it was the crowd though, because I went to two more shows and it was a lot. It was a lot better, and
Yeah.
it
I
was
went down to see them. They played They Still Live in Austin back in August, and one of my consultants, they're doing their own event in south of Austin in November, and Treaty Oaks headlining for them. So I went down and we caught the show, and we were on the floors, kind of a balcony arena sort of set up, but we were on the floor, and we go in there, and I said, let's stand kind of side stage back here over a little bit. He's like, why? I said, because there's going to be some beers thrown in here. I just know it. And it was, I mean, at times it wasn't so bad. And there were times where, man, they were 15, 20 flying at a time, and these beers were $12 a piece, man. These kids, uh, just throwing their money at the stage. But
yeah.
when they were done, man, it was just like pandemonium. And I had a call with like people in Salina a few weeks ago, and about security and police department and stuff. And I said, I'm just going to warn you guys now. I said, it's going to be a younger crowd than we've ever had, and it's going to be a rowdier crowd than we've ever had. So in the world of public intoxication tickets and kicking people out and stuff, it's probably going to be a little bit more prevalent than it has in the past. And, like my stage people are, get their squeegee brooms and stuff ready for
Yeah.
getting the stage clean before Shane comes up there. Cause it's just a totally different dynamic, and I love both, but yeah, but then you get those who just, can't behave. But, 6, 7 years ago, that was that was the beer shower show. And,
Yeah.
as he's gotten older and you get in more of like a professional setting, I guess, it's like, okay, yeah, we did that, 5, 10 years ago. We're going to move past it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely missing out on merch sales by not selling ponchos. So
Yeah.
like going
Yeah.
to like a Gallagher show.
Oh yeah. Well, and like that Austin show. I mean, it was balconies pretty high up, and you just see beers just launched
Oh,
from 15 rows back, coming down onto the stage, and people getting wet down there. But when they're 21, 22 years old, they don't really care. But you get to our age, it's like, all right, I kind of got past that
yeah.
phase of my life. We don't really have to like throw beers at anybody, but we'll probably have a few thrown here in a couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, that and I'm like, God forbid you're like driving home, you get pulled over and you haven't been drinking. I
Yeah, you
swear.
still smell like you're just covered in Coors Light because somebody threw 17 beers at the show and hit you with half of them. Yeah, yeah. So how do you explain this? Well, took a
Well,
beer shower.
yeah,
Yeah,
funny story.
yeah.
Uh,
Cool, man. Well, man, I'm really looking forward to having you down there, dude. I didn't know I was when you told me you were gonna fly down there, I was like, oh, that's pretty badass, man. We're
yeah,
stoked to have you.
you saved a lot of people because there was another big event going on that was canceled, and I know a lot of people from this area. That was one of the first texts. Are you still going? Are you still going? And I was like, I don't know. And then, boom, found out about your festival, and I was like, saw the lineup, and was like, I'm going. There's enough stuff to do around Dallas
I
Fort
have
Worth.
I have no idea what other event you speak of, but
Yeah, it,
yeah, but yeah, that's another conversation for another day, right there. But
yeah, but yeah, it's great that this is going
I
on,
was
and
I was there first. I'll just say that. But yeah, no, really really unfortunate, and we have had a lot of people reach out, asking about you know hotels or travel plans or stuff because they're having to fly down anyway because they can't cancel their flights and trying to find stuff to do. And yeah, I feel terrible for people who spent their money and aren't getting it back. So
yeah,
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 that's another conversation when we're not recording. So,
yeah. I hear you.
but I'm glad they're coming to hang out with us. We're a cool event, pretty laid back. Not really a huge kind of party thing. It'll be more so this year because of Treaty Oak and stuff. But it's the barbecue aspect of it is really cool. People come down there and you know a lot of them don't really realize that you're eating the best barbecue in the world by people who are the best at it in the world. Guys with TV shows and James Beard Awards and you know featured in all sorts of places. That if people don't really realize that they eat there, like, oh crap, this is so and so, or this is food is just incredible. They, People don't really grasp the reality of how good it is until they actually get there and try it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, don't eat breakfast that day. I'll just warn you there. So
I got you.
cool, man.
But
You have to find me when you get there, man. We'll take care of you. We'll get you on the guest list at the front and all that jazz. And man, just hit me up whenever you get in, and we'll get you squared away.
all right, cool.
Good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Have you come hang out with uh, all these heathens that are going to be playing on stage. Shane and them are actually going to be pretty. They're going to be there pretty late, I think, 'cause they're flying in from Sacramento that morning from another festival. But it's going to be a good one. I'm stoked for this one.
Yeah, very excited to try the food and listen to the music.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of it, brother.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you October 19th.
Cool, dude. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on and taking your time. I appreciate that as well.
Hell yeah. Awesome. See you soon, man.
All right, man.
All right. See you, man.